The sun had just started to dip behind the downtown skyline, golden light bouncing off glass towers and high-end storefronts. It was a Friday evening in Atlanta, that slow moment when the city exhales after a long week. People in suits, sneakers, and everything in between strolled along Peachtree Street, chasing weekend freedom. In the middle of it all walked Marcus Reed, tall, calm, mid-40s, dressed in a crisp charcoal suit that looked expensive but subtle. He carried himself like a man who'd earned peace the hard way. He wasn't flashy, just present. The kind of presence that turns heads without him saying a word. He'd just come from a community event where he'd spoken about economic empowerment and about owning your space in a world that sometimes pretends not to see you. He decided to grab dinner before heading home. Nothing fancy, just a moment to breathe. The restaurant he chose was one of those modern Southern fusion spots. Warm lights, smooth jazz, white tablecloths, and a certain air of exclusivity that made folks check their reflection twice before walking in. Marcus walked up to the host stand. "Good evening," he said with a calm smile. "Table for one, please." The young hostess, early 20s, blonde, polite, gave him a quick once-over. Her smile faltered just slightly. Do you have a reservation?" "No, I don't," Marcus replied, still kind. "Didn't think I'd need one this early." Before she could answer, a man in a navy polo, Evan, the assistant manager, appeared beside her. His energy was tight, cautious. "Sir," Evan said, stepping forward, "we're actually members only this evening. Private dining event." Marcus glanced past him. The restaurant was half full. A family laughing near the window. A couple toasting wine. A waiter bringing out plates. Nothing about it screamed, "Private?" "Oh, I see," Marcus said. "No worries. I can wait at the bar if that's all right." Evan's tone stiffened. "I'm afraid the bar's closed, too. We're not serving walk-ins tonight." Marcus nodded slowly. His expression didn't change. "I understand," he said, stepping back. As he turned to leave, a small group entered behind him, a group of white guests in business attire. They hadn't made reservations either. "Hey, you guys made it," Evan called out cheerfully. "Right this way. We'll set you up at the bar till your table's ready." The hostess froze. Her eyes darted from Marcus to Evan. Marcus stopped. Just for a second. He didn't turn around right away, he just listened. The sound of laughter, the clink of glasses, and the quiet ache of familiarity. He'd been here before. Not this restaurant, but this moment. That same invisible wall. Finally, he turned. His voice was calm, measured. "Excuse me," he said softly. "I thought the bar was closed." Evan shifted, suddenly defensive. "Sir, please, don't make a scene." A couple of people looked up. Phones lifted slightly, the reflex of the modern crowd. Marcus let out a small breath. "Not making a scene," he said. "Just clarifying what kind of evening it is." The silence that followed was thick. Someone whispered, "Man, that's messed up." Another person started recording. Evan crossed his arms. "If you're not a member, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Marcus looked around the room. Every face had a story. Some avoiding eye contact, some watching with quiet guilt, others waiting to see how far this would go. Then he met the hostess's eyes. She looked almost sorry, almost. He nodded once. "All right," he said. "You won't have to ask twice." He turned and walked out, slow, deliberate, unbothered. But in that calm exit, something lingered, a power Evan didn't recognize yet. As the door closed behind him, the hostess whispered, "You didn't have to talk to him like that." Evan shrugged. "These people are always trying to pull that card." The words dropped like a stone. And at that exact moment, someone's camera kept rolling. Click. Upload. Caption. He handled that like a king. The internet was about to meet Marcus Reed. The night air hit different when you'd just swallowed your pride. Cool breeze, streetlights humming, city noise echoing like background music to disappointment. Marcus walked slowly down the block, jacket draped over his arm. He wasn't angry, not the loud kind anyway. His silence had weight, the kind that speaks when words would only get twisted. He stopped near a bench outside, just across the street from the restaurant. From there, he could see people inside laughing, oblivious or pretending to be. He pulled out his phone. The screen lit up with a flood of notifications. One clip already had 3,000 views. Someone had tagged it. "Man denied service for no reason. Watch how calm he stayed." The internet had already started talking. Comments rolled in fast. "This broke my heart. Bro kept his cool. That's power. We see you, King," Marcus sighed. He didn't crave the attention. He just wanted peace, but peace don't always come quiet. Sometimes it demands a witness. A familiar voice broke his thoughts. "Marcus?" He turned. It was Tasha, a local reporter he'd met at community panels before. She'd seen the video. She was already live streaming. "Marcus Reed, right?" she said softly, camera in hand. "You mind if I ask what happened?" Marcus gave a calm half-smile. "You saw it. I tried to grab dinner. That's it?" "That's it." She lowered her phone a bit. "How do you stay that calm, man? I'd be heated." He looked up at the restaurant again, light reflecting in his eyes. "Because anger makes them the focus," he said. "But peace? Peace keeps the power in your hands." His words hit different. Even the few folks nearby who were listening nodded. Across the street, inside the restaurant, the mood had shifted. Evan was trying to act normal, but the hostess was scrolling her phone, seeing the video, seeing herself in it. She whispered to him, "It's already online." Evan frowned. "What do you mean already? Like, thousands of views already." Evan's fake confidence cracked. Meanwhile, Marcus sat quietly, the street buzzing around him. A group of teenagers approached. 3 young black men, hoodies up, phones out. "Yo, you the dude from the video?" one asked. Marcus chuckled softly. "Guess I am. Man, you handled that smooth. My mom just shared it on Facebook." He smiled. "Appreciate that. But let's not make it about me. It's about how you carry yourself when they expect you to break." One of the boys nodded. "Yeah, like they expect you to snap so they can say, 'See?'" "Exactly," Marcus said. "Sometimes silence is the loudest clapback there is." The moment hung in the air, like something sacred, unplanned. Then one of the kids said, "You gonna let that place get away with it, though?" Marcus looked toward the glowing restaurant sign. His face softened. "Who said I was done?" The teens exchanged looks. The reporter caught that line. The camera kept rolling, and as the live video spread, something started to shift online. Influencers reposted it. People began calling the restaurant out. Yelp reviews changed overnight. Back inside, Evan's phone buzzed nonstop. The owner texted, "We need to talk. Now." The world was watching. And the man they tried to erase? He hadn't even raised his voice. Comment where you're watching from. Dignity don't need to shout to be heard. The next morning, Atlanta woke up buzzing. Phones lit up, hashtags trended, and that one 45-second clip, Marcus standing there calm while being denied, had already hit 2 million views. They tried to erase him. Stay calm, stay powerful. Shock Marcus Reed breakfast tables, barbershops, newsrooms, and everyone was talking, but Marcus wasn't talking. He was thinking. He sat at his kitchen table, sipping coffee, laptop open. The comments were endless. Some angry, some proud, some just tired. Then his assistant called. "Mr. Reed, your schedule's tight today, but the mayor's office wants you at the Economic Renewal Forum by 2 p.m. Marcus smiled faintly. "I'll be there." He straightened his tie, took one last look in the mirror, not vanity, just quiet preparation, and stepped out. By noon, news crews were already parked outside the same restaurant. Evan hadn't slept. He'd been on damage control mode since sunrise. The owner, Ms. Lancaster, had flown in from Chicago that morning after seeing the viral video. "Do you realize what kind of storm you've caused?" she said sharply. Evan stammered. I didn't know who he was." Her eyes narrowed. "That's the point." She looked exhausted, and she should have been. In just hours, they'd lost reservations, partnerships, and credibility. Then her phone rang. The number flashed. City Hall. Across town, the Civic Center buzzed. The city's top leaders, investors, and small business owners gathered for the annual Economic Renewal Forum. a live broadcast event highlighting Black entrepreneurship and community development. Cameras rolled, banners hung, and the host took the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, "please welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Marcus Reed, founder and CEO of Reed Urban Development." The audience erupted in applause. He walked up calmly, the same calm he had at that restaurant, only now, under the spotlight. "Good afternoon," he began. "I didn't plan on saying much today, but I think life just wrote my speech for me." Soft laughter. Everyone knew. He paused, scanning the crowd. "Yesterday I was told I didn't belong somewhere. Happens all the time, right? But the funny thing is, that same place was built partly on a project my company funded 2 years ago." The audience gasped. Cameras zoomed in. He continued, voice steady but sharp. "I didn't post the video. I didn't need to. Because truth don't need a mic. It finds one." People started clapping. Marcus glanced at the front row. City officials, reporters, local influencers. "I don't tell this story to shame anyone. I tell it because it shows how quick we are to judge who deserves a seat at the table. When half the time we built the table," applause thundered. Phones went up. Streams lit up. The clip spread instantly. He built the project for the restaurant that rejected him. Back at the restaurant, the air was tense. Ms. Lancaster stared at her phone as the live stream played. Evan stood beside her, pale, sweating. He owns the building?" She exhaled slowly. "Not just owns it, Evan. His company manages half the block." Silence. Heavy, unforgiving. Outside, people were already gathering, peaceful, curious, filming. A few signs had popped up. "Respect is the dress code." Then one of the teenagers from the night before showed up with a box of donuts and a sign that read, "Breakfast for Marcus Reed." The crowd laughed softly. The moment was almost poetic. Meanwhile, Marcus wrapped up his speech. "Dignity isn't loud. It doesn't break windows or shout names. It just stands tall until truth shows up. And when it does, the whole world hears it." The crowd rose to its feet. Standing ovation. His phone buzzed mid-applause. A text from an unknown number. "Mr. Reed, this is Ms. Lancaster, owner of the restaurant. We owe you an apology. Publicly, if you'll allow it." Marcus looked at the message, then out at the crowd. The cameras were still rolling. He smiled slightly. "Maybe it's time we stop talking about ownership as money and start talking about it as self-respect." Thunderous applause again. The city had just witnessed a lesson, not in revenge, but in revelation. If you've ever been told you don't belong, remember, you might just own the room you're standing in. The internet didn't sleep that weekend. Clips from Marcus's speech bounced from Instagram to TikTok to primetime TV. Evening anchors used words like grace, strength, and poise under pressure. But for the restaurant, the storm had only just begun. Yelp ratings plummeted overnight. Their website crashed from comments. Someone posted, "If you can't recognize the man who literally built your foundation, you don't deserve his business." By Monday morning, "Respect the Reed" trended across every platform. Inside the restaurant, Ms. Lancaster gathered her staff. Cameras waited outside. "We're going to make this right," she said, voice strained but sincere. Evan sat stiff in the corner, tie loose, guilt heavy on his face. "I never meant," he started. She cut him off gently. "Intent doesn't erase impact." The hostess looked nervous. "Is he coming?" Ms. Lancaster nodded. He agreed to meet. He didn't have to. Around noon, Marcus pulled up in a black SUV, not flashy, just clean, purposeful. When he stepped out, the crowd hushed. Reporters gathered like gravity pulled them in. He wasn't surrounded by bodyguards or fanfare, just calm. Stillness that carried weight. Evan opened the door for him. "Mr. Reed, thank you for coming." Marcus nodded once. "Let's talk." They walked inside. Cameras stayed at the windows. The restaurant was closed for a private apology. Inside, Ms. Lancaster stood waiting. "Mr. Reed, on behalf of my staff and myself, I want to offer our deepest apology. What happened was unacceptable." Marcus looked her in the eye. "I appreciate that," she continued. "If you'd be open to it, I'd like to make this a teaching moment. Host a community forum here at our expense. Conversations about respect, inclusion, real change. He paused, studying her expression. Words are easy. Culture takes work, she nodded slowly. Then let's do the work, Evan finally spoke. Sir, I was wrong. I judged you the second you walked in. I thought, Marcus held up a hand. You thought you knew my story. But bias is lazy like that. Evan swallowed hard. You had every right to go off on me. But you didn't. Marcus gave a soft, measured smile. I didn't because I've been where you are, thinking my perspective was the only one that mattered. The difference is, I learned. You can too. Silence filled the room. Heavy but healing. The hostess wiped a tear. You really handled it like a king, Marcus chuckled lightly. Nah, just like a man who's tired of repeating history. Outside, the media waited. When Marcus finally stepped out, microphones crowded him. Mr. Reed, are you accepting the restaurant's apology? He looked out over the crowd. Reporters, locals, teens, older folks. A whole city holding its breath. I'm accepting accountability, he said. And if they follow through, maybe we'll all learn something from this. Flashbulbs popped. Cameras rolled. But Marcus's calm voice cut through the chaos. Dignity doesn't need revenge, he said. It just needs recognition. The crowd applauded softly, not the loud kind, but the kind that comes with respect. A woman shouted, "We love you, Marcus." He smiled, waved once, and walked away. That evening, social media exploded again, this time with gratitude. Clips of Marcus's speech, apology, and closing words became a masterclass in grace. One comment read, "He didn't destroy them. He educated them." Another, "That's how you fight racism, with truth, not noise." Even major networks replayed his line. Dignity doesn't need revenge. It just needs recognition. Across the country, classrooms and workplaces discussed the moment. People shared their own stories of being underestimated and reclaiming their worth. In the quiet of his home that night, Marcus sat by the window, city lights reflecting off the glass. His phone buzzed with messages, offers, praise. He ignored most of them. He wasn't chasing validation. He was protecting peace. He looked out at the skyline, the city he'd helped rebuild, one project at a time, and whispered to himself, sometimes silence changes more than shouting ever could. A week later, Atlanta slowed back into rhythm, but something had changed. The restaurant reopened with new staff training, a community dinner hosted by local leaders, and one special guest, Marcus Reed. He didn't show up to boast. He came to listen. The same doors that once turned him away now opened wide, with cameras and candles lighting the way. Inside, the crowd was diverse. Black, white, Latino, young, old, all sitting side by side. No dress code, no labels, just people. Ms. Lancaster took the mic. Tonight isn't about publicity, she said softly. It's about growth. About seeing each other clearly, she turned toward Marcus. Thank you for teaching us that lesson without hate. Marcus nodded, took the microphone, and stood in that same spot he'd once been denied. The room went silent. Not out of fear this time, but respect. He spoke slowly, every word deliberate. You know, that night when I was told I didn't belong, I realized something. People will always try to measure your worth by how they see you. The real power is knowing who you are before they ever open their mouth. The crowd leaned in. I didn't walk away to look weak. I walked away to stay whole. Because sometimes the strongest move is not to fight. It's to forgive without forgetting. He paused. The room was still. Even the clinking of glasses stopped. That's what dignity is. Not silence out of fear, but peace out of purpose. Someone whispered, Amen. He smiled, a small, genuine smile. So, if you've ever been underestimated, disrespected, or told you don't belong, remember this. You don't need their seat to stand tall. You are the table. The room erupted, not with noise, but with that deep kind of applause that comes from hearts shifting. As Marcus stepped outside, the cool night air met him again. Same street, same city, but a different feeling. Cars passed, lights flickered. Music played faintly from a nearby bar. He exhaled, peaceful. A teen from the earlier crowd spotted him. "Yo, Mr. Reed," he called out. "We still watching you, man?" Marcus laughed softly. "Then make sure you're watching yourselves, too." "You're next." They bumped fists. He turned the corner. Fading into the city, he helped rebuild, not as a victim, not even as a hero, but as a mirror for everyone watching. If you've ever been underestimated, this story is yours too. Dignity doesn't shout. It stands tall. So next time the world doubts your worth, let your calm be your comeback. Comment where you're watching from. And if you believe in quiet power, hit like.